Hello everyone and welcome to a really wild game. Many of you have recommended as soon as it finished. It's from the final round of the Chennai Grandmasters, Arjun Erigaisi versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. So a current 2800 in the live ratings versus a former 2800. And it's a game that's extremely complicated. Probably you guys will feel sick of the game while I'm explaining it to you, because the variations you will see here are just so incomprehensible, as they were also missed during the game. But I love them, and hopefully you will too. But if not, you can also just check out the PGN as I provided always in the description below. So let's dive straight into it. Arjun with white opens with pawn to d4, and while he was leading the tournament for pretty much the entire tournament up until the penultimate round, he did lose to Aravind Chidambaram in the penultimate round. So d4, we have knight to f6, pawn to c4, g6, knight to c3, and pawn to d5. And this is what you get when you play against Maxime. It will, if you're an e4 player, you face the Sicilian. If you're a d4 player, you face the Gruenfeld. That's how Maxime plays, and he is deadly in all of these openings. We have queen to b3. This is the sixth most popular continuation against the Gruenfeld, but a specialist like Maxime, of course, will not have a problem with that. The first time I saw this, I think I already mentioned this, was like 15 years ago. I was helping a teammate of mine prepare. We were playing the Croatian team championship, and he was playing against an opponent who was a Gruenfeld player, and he was some 200, maybe 300 rating points stronger than my colleague, and we prepared this queen to b3 line in accordance to the game Magnus Carlsen just played like a couple of days ago against Lanier, and he won a very nice game. So while it is very rare, it is played by some very strong players like Magnus Carlsen. Also, I've seen Hikaru play it, Ivanchuk plays it. So yeah, it's sixth most popular, but it's still played at the top level. We have d captures on c4, queen captures, and now bishop to e6. Bishop to g7 more popular, but bishop to e6 also very potent. Exposes the b7 pawn, so of course it's natural to go after it. Queen to b5 with check, and now bishop to d7. And this is sort of an early question whether to capture the pawn or not, and it would be a mistake. Maybe not a game-losing mistake, but still you just allow black so much development that it's not in the style of MVL to go play like this. So in the style of Arjun to play like this. So queen to b3 and pawn to c5. We have pawn to d5 and pawn to b5 now. Pawn to e4 and pawn to b4. A lot of expansion on the queen side, and you can't really move this knight if you're not willing to give up the e4 pawn. And that being said, there's only one move Arjun can play here, and that is pawn to e5. And the position has been reached before a few times where knight to g4 was played, and knight to g4 is even the top move recommended by the engine. But Arjun prepared something else. He plays b captures on c3. MVL plays b captures on c3, and it is now as of move 10 that we have a completely new game. So let's see what MVL figure with this b captures and c3 move. And if you check out the times, Arjun is playing pretty much instantly. He's even gaining time, not even burning it. MVL spent a few minutes reaching this new position. So e captures on f6, and now queen to b6. MVL offers a queen trade, and Arjun does not know this position. Up until this point, Arjun played everything by heart, and here you have to play queen captures on c3. It's just seems to be more optimal than what Arjun played in the game, because after e captures on f6, also you could play queen captures on f6, but then the queens just get traded off. You play bishop f4 and you have a nice pass pawn. So here, after e captures, let's say knight to f3, bishop to g7, and okay, you're ready to castle, but the key move is queen to e3 check. Now the black king will have to move, and you will lose castling privileges. You will have to play something like king to d8 or king to f8. King to d8 even looks scary, because you can go rook to e8, but now you will move the queen again. Let's say queen c3. Now you don't have to worry about f5, and if rook to e8 with check, something like bishop to e3, and the game continues, and it's a really wonderful position to have. Both kings in a vulnerable position, but maybe the white king a little bit safer than black king that lost castling privileges. So after queen b6, knight to e2, and you can see that Arjun spent 34 minutes for this move. You can see the clock goes from an hour and 33 to 59 minutes on the clock. And MVL just plays queen captures on f6. You could consider captures on b2 right away, but giving white this diagonal also doesn't seem like a very good solution. Knight captures on c3 and bishop to g7. MVL just wants the castle to safety, and then, you know, it's anyone's game. We have bishop to e2, castles by both of them, castles, and now bishop back to c8, preventing moves like queen to b7, and also now you can get the rook to the d file. Maybe the bishop comes to a6, maybe to b7, who knows. We have bishop to e3, putting pressure on c5, and knight to d7, defending the c5 pawn, queen a3 with a double attack on c5, and now bishop to b7. And even though it looks like you can capture the pawn on c5, you don't really want to give up the bishop pair for that. Like bishop captures, let's say knight captures, queen captures, you can play rook f to c8, and yes, you've grabbed the pawn, but at what cost? This is the dream for a player like MVL. He has the bishop pair, lead in development, we could say, and an open c file, so like you would have in a Sicilian defense, perhaps. So after rook bishop to b7, we have rook f to d1 by Arjun, and now rook f to d8. We have rook a to c1, and now queen to h4. Already preparing to put some pressure, maybe bishop to e5 coming next to attack that h2 pawn, bishop to b5 putting pressure on the knight, and also preparing maybe bishop to c6. We have bishop to e5 now threatening queen captures on h2, and now the eternal question in chess: do you play h3 or g3? You know, when you decide on this, you always pick the wrong one, but here actually both are fine. So here pawn to h3, we have bishop to d6 now, defending the pawn on c5, also maybe preparing c4 in some lines, and you could consider a move like bishop to c6. Definitely you could consider even pawn to b3, just to be able to meet c4 with queen to b2. The queen would be very nicely placed on the b2 square. Also black would lose control over d4, so maybe the bishop comes to d4. It's a very tricky idea, but bishop to c6 right away by Arjun. Bishop captures, pawn captures, attacking the knight, and now knight to e5. And this is the one of the key positions that I wanted to discuss. There are two good moves here for Arjun, and Arjun played bishop captures on c5, which is very nice. But I just want to show you what happens if pawn to c7 is played. It's a disgusting engine line that I found particularly enjoyable. So let's see what this is all about. Not capturing the pawn with the bishop will result in knight d5, and then the pawn is defended, and you don't want that. So okay, we capture the pawn. Now comes knight d5, you attack the bishop, and once the bishop moves, you simply play bishop captures on c5. So what's the big idea? Okay, let's say pawn to e6 attacks the knight, you will capture the bishop, and after a captures, you will capture the rook, and after queen captures on d8, here comes the star move, and that is bishop captures on b6. Okay, if you don't trade queens, then the queen just moves, and you have two connected pass pawns on the queen side. And if the queens are traded off, rook captures and bishop captures. This is the beauty. You have to move the rook back. If you start capturing pawns, then bishop to f6 attacks the knight and threatens checkmate, and the only way to stop checkmate is to play knight d7, rook to c8, check, knight to f8. But then white, it doesn't even have to rush it with bishop to e7. You can even save the pawn, and then bishop to e7 will defend on b4, and also you're going to win that knight and win a very nice game. So what you would have to do after this bishop captures on d8 move, you cannot go after the a2 pawn. You're going to have to move back the rook to a8, and okay, now the game continues, something like rook to d1, and you enjoy your two connected pass pawns on the queen side, and you're gonna win the game that way. But yeah, it's a crazy position. Just thought you guys would appreciate it. But instead, bishop captures on c5 was played, also very, very nice. Knight to c4 attacking Arjun's queen, and now Arjun has to find the move that, well, why this line is also winning along that one. If he doesn't, then he's just not winning. And he doesn't find it. He played queen to a6. You have to see this move. Queen to b4. Okay, what is queen to b4? Obviously, the knight cannot move, as the queen on h4 would hang, but also there's the threat of rook to d4, attacking the queen and attacking the knight. You also have to worry about bishop to h2 check a little bit, then the rook also will attack the d4 square. So it's a very, very complicated position, but okay, let's say only the top moves are played. Let's say pawn to a5, attacks the queen. Queen to b5, now the queen gets off of the fourth rank, and now let's say rook d to b8. You go after the white queen, Now comes the star move, and this one, okay, is just very, very hard to see. Rook to d4, attacking the queen on h4. Okay, it seems like it's a rook trade, nothing spectacular happening here. You're just gonna capture on c4 if the queen moves, and if rook captures on b5, then another star move, and that is knight captures on b5. And I'm even gonna allow the exclamation marks on this one because it's just beautiful. And now you have to do something about that queen. Let's say queen to g5. Okay, you put pressure on the rook. Rook d captures on c4. Okay. Now, what can you play? Let's say you could trade, doesn't really matter, or you play queen e5, you go after the queen h2 check, you just capture, bishop captures, let's say queen captures on b5, bishop captures on e7, queen captures on b2, and pawn to c7, and you cannot defend this. Yes, it's a queen and rook versus two rooks and the bishop, but the problem is this rook will fall very, very quickly. For example, rook to c8, you stop the promotion, rook d1, there's no stopping rook to d8. Let's say king to g7, rook to d8, you have to play king g7 in order to be able to capture, and now you have to give it up, otherwise white gets another queen. And now even another beautiful thing about this position, you cannot just capture the rook. If you capture the rook, then it's queen a1 check, king has to go to h2, queen to e5 with check, and then you pick up the rook on c7. So what you have to do here is play bishop to f8 with check, force the king into an open board. If you go up the board, then it's just checkmate. So you have to go to f6, and now rook to d6 with check, and this will stop the queen from capturing on c7. I mean, wow. King to g5, and now you capture, rook captures on c7, and now queen check will not be doing anything as the rook on d6 is defended. So you're going to have to capture on a2, but still, it's two rooks and the bishop versus a queen and the passed pawn. The pawn will quickly fall, and that's pretty much it. Easy win. But Arjun misses that, and okay, who wouldn't? After knight to c4, he plays queen to a6, and now we have bishop captures on c5, rook captures on d8, we have rook captures on d8, and pawn to c7, and it seems like, okay, it's no big deal that Arjun missed that because he's still winning, but this is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave we're talking about. He plays rook to f8, and now knight to e4. You could also promote right away, but Arjun is worried about Maxime capturing on f2, even though it is the best move. Still, okay, this is the last line I'm going to show because it's beautiful. Also, queen captures on f2, king to h1, and now, okay, rook captures on c8, queen captures on c4. This is the key move. This is a draw, and if you play queen captures on c4, then you're playing for the win because you're also gonna win the bishop. There's no way for the bishop to unpin. Let's say queen captures on b2, you're just gonna attack the bishop, and that's it. Let's say pawn to a5, knight captures, or you can even play a4. You don't even have to part with the pawn. Let's say queen e5, knight captures, you're up a piece, and okay. You're playing for the win. It's not going to be easy. Black is up 2 pawns, and the white king is a bit more vulnerable. But you know, if you're playing for the win, you play this variation. But here, knight to e4, Arjun decides to give up the knight in order to prevent queen captures on f2, and this is enough for Maxime to get a draw here. But still, it's not going to be easy. Queen captures on e4, and now Arjun plays c8 queen. He brings another queen into the game, and here only one move does not lose the game for Maxime. Feel free to pause the video and spot that move while I give you a couple of seconds. The incredible move is not rook captures queen or something like queen to e5. The move is bishop captures on f2 with check. Beautiful stuff here. And the bishop cannot be captured. If you capture the bishop, then it's a very quick checkmate. Queen e3 check, king f1, and knight to d2 is checkmate. So you cannot play that. Arjun played king to h1. It is by far the best move, but it doesn't matter. MVL will not be stopped. He goes knight to e3. Knight to d6 is even better, but knight to e3 proves to be very, very complicated for Arjun, and he plays queen c to c6. It would be a huge mistake to play this because it seems like it's the same, but it's not. It seems like, okay, you're just trading queens. But here, rook captures on c8, and after the queen is captured, rook captures on c1 with check, king h2, and now the beautiful mating maneuver. Knight to f1 check, only move king h1, knight to g3 check, only move king h2, and now rook to h1 will be checkmate. So, okay, Arjun, of course, doesn't fall for that. He plays queen c to c6, and now queen to d4. We have queen 8 to a4 attacking the queen. Queen captures on b2, and now queen to b3, offering a queen trade. queen to d2, and here Arjun plays queen b to c3. The correct move and the one where you're still playing for the win is queen c to c3. But this is when you have more than 2 queens on the board, is just very unnatural, and I don't think there's a human brain capable of calculating more than 2 queens on the board. It's why we, figured, okay, 2 queens are enough in a game of chess, but queen c to c3 is the way to go. Point being that you really don't have a move other than to trade queens, and once you trade queens, okay, now whether you win this or not, that's up to you, but the position should be winning for white. However, after queen d to d2, queen b to c3 was played, offering a queen trade this way, but now MVL just captures another pawn. Queen captures on a2, and it seems like, okay, we still have 2 queens. It's not like we have to work very hard. But queen to f3, okay, what happens next? Knight to f5. Now Maxime is threatening knight to g3 check, and after queen to c2, offering a queen trade, knight to g3 check. We have king h2, knight to f1 check, king to h1, and he was in this position on move 38 that Arjun and MVL agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here. Or rather, if they continue, it would be a draw by 3-fold repetition. But point is that if you trade, let's say rook captures, queen captures on c2, and now rook captures on f2, there's a nice queen c7 check. And don't forget about our good friend the rook on f8. Black is just up 3 pawns. You will put the rook somewhere and start advancing your past a pawn to victory. This is winning pretty much however you play it. So after king to h1, a well-fought draw. And even though Arjun was leading for the entire tournament, here after the final round, there is a 3-way tie for first, so it's a shared victory, and Aravind Chidambaram wins in the final round against Parham Maksudlu, so he also catches up to the leaders. Let me just open this up. Sorry, those are the standings, but I just want to check out the actual standings after all of the games have been played. So it's Aravind, Levon, and Arjun with 4.5 points. Amin Tabatabai with 4 points. MVL with 3 points. So he doesn't do well in the tournament, but he manages to snatch victory, away from Arjun. Vidit, Alexis Arana, and Parham Maksudlu with 2.5 points. And also, this is what I wanted to show you. These are the world top 22, I believe, now on the live ratings. Not a lot of change here. You can see that MVL lost some points, Levon won some points, almost back in the top 10. But it's not easy to kick Anand out of the top 10 ever. And Arjun also, even though he lost the penultimate round, is still in plus 1.9, and he finishes on a high note. Well, anything above 2800 I would say is a high note, but you can see how difficult it will be to overtake Magnus. He was already at 2810, 28.9 I believe, and then well, he just lost one game and back to 2800 it is. So that's how difficult it is to remain rating over 2800. Many have tried. No one other than Magnus Carlsen has been able to do it for an extended period of time, and in Magnus Carlsen's case I believe it's now like 13th year. So I mean, absolutely incredible. But no one else other than Magnus was able to do it. Fabi, is over 2800 quite a few times, but then he drops back. Hikaru also. A lot of people were over 2800, but only Magnus is able to remain there seemingly forever. We'll see how Arjun does. One more loss or one more draw, and he's back below 2800. But okay, it's not. We don't have to dwell on such things. He's playing good chess. It's still not. I wouldn't say it. It's still not 2800 level. 2800 level, at least for me. Is when you see that the board players are terrified to play against you, that's what I consider a 2800 level, not just to maybe have a good run, touch 2800 and then go right back. But we'll see how it goes for Arjun. He's still very young. Obviously, he still has a lot more to show. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry about a few extra lines, but they were really wild, and I really loved them, so hope you enjoyed them as well. I would like to thank Robert Arathun, Obaken Grafella, Jeffrey Johnson, Yusuf Evalin, and Dan McCormick for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions such as this one and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.